Stop fighting the ego. It's stupid. Fighting the ego is literally as stupid as me fighting my own hand for doing hand stuff. I don't know why it has become the spiritual norm to be at war with the ego. It's like we have made the ego the #1 enemy. But of what? Of enlightenment? That's just absurd. And to be honest, I don't think we fully understand what we're fighting here. I don't think we fully understand what the ego really is. But if it's stupid to fight the ego, then how do I overcome the ego? Because it is true that there is some kind of a conflict here between me and the ego. But then who's creating the conflict? Who's creating the war? Oh man, so many good questions. If just there was someone who would make a video about it. Yeah. Part 1. Fighting the ego is just as stupid as fighting your own hand. First off, I want to say that this video is going to be a 2-part video series. The first video here, we are covering like the theory of the ego. And in the second video, we are covering the practical stuff of how to overcome the ego, lack of better word. But the thing is really that that's the whole point. The whole point is there's nothing to overcome. There's nothing to be at war at. Because what are we truly at war at? That's such a good question. But first off, have you ever seen a master at war with the ego? No, never. You will never see it. And you may say it's because the master has won the war against the ego. And yes, well, it is true. It is kind of true. The perspective we're going for is like, how do you win a war? Do you win a war by dominating your opponent, by totally destroying them, then leaving victims on the other side? Or do you truly win a war by befriending, by becoming friends and being a union and working together? You see what I'm going for here, right? It's not about you against the ego. It's about being with the ego. Because you see, the thing with the ego is that the ego just is what the ego is, right? The ego is not fighting you. It's you who's fighting the ego. The ego is not at war with you. It's you who has claimed war against the ego. But the ego just does what the ego does. Just like my hand does what my hand does. And I don't fight my hand for doing hand stuff or for doing what a hand does. And it's kind of the same. The ego just does what the ego does. And if I am fighting the ego, it means that I'm fighting a part of myself. And by fighting a part of myself, we're going directly against what all of the masters says. All of the masters talks about the harmony. All of the masters talks about surrendering and becoming a union, right? If I'm at war at something inside of me, I'm going directly against that. It's not about fighting the ego. It's about not giving it that much importance, really. Part 2, the core of the ego, the power of belief. So in short, what is the core of the ego? The core of the ego is this. I believe in who I think I am. Let me say that again. I believe in who I think I am. That is what the ego is. So when we are talking about the ego, we are actually talking about beliefs. What happens when we are children? We are reflecting ourselves in the environment and the other people around us, especially the grown-ups. And the grown-ups tells us who we are. And the thing that we do is that we start to believe what we say. We don't know any better. We don't have any filter of being like skeptic. Is this really who I am? We don't have that. We just take it right in. And we agree on what they say we are, and then we start to believe it. We believe it to be true. So if you have like the classic shitty child in class, the problem child, everyone is telling that child is a problem. And what then comes to happen is that the child agrees in what's being said and believe that that is his identity. And throughout our life, we get more and more beliefs, and therefore the ego becomes more and more strong. Because also what happens is that we become more and more insecure. And in order to, I hate when people say that. People always say like, the ego is there to protect yourself. And I've always hated it, but I realized it is true. The more vulnerable we become, the more strong the ego becomes in order to protect that insecurity, that vulnerability that we actually have inside of us. this then becomes our ego becomes our identity. We believe in what we think we are. So for example, I am Jonathan. And then in Jonathan, we can put a lot of concepts. Super handsome, super intelligent, charming, a lot of good stuff to say about him, you know, but a lot of concepts to say about him. And I believe that I am that. I believe that I am Jonathan. So much that when I ask myself who I am like, I'm Jonathan. Well, who's Jonathan? Jonathan is all of these concepts. The concepts of the human, right? And the ego is that also that undeniably feeling of I. My master always tells me, who is saying this? And I say, I am saying this. Whatever it is, right? But who is doing this? Who is saying this? And I say, I am. And he then asks me, then who is this I? And for me, there's no like skepticism about this I. It is so strong. It's like I, me. That feeling is the ego. And we believe it. You see, that's a thought, right? I, me. If we do it in Danish, then it's jeg, mig. If we do it in Spanish, then it's yo soy, or yo me. But you see, like, so it's just words, it's just symbols. But I believe it, it's just a thought. But I believe the thought to be me so strongly, or to represent me so strongly. So when we get to the ego, the problem, or what it's really all about, it's really all about belief. That to say, so does the master have an ego? Well, I don't know, that's the truth. But if the ego is built on belief, the masters don't believe. So they don't have the ego because they don't believe. There may still be that part of the mind that is saying me, my, blah, 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 blah. But they don't believe it to be them. They know their true self. So if we don't believe, then we don't have an ego. Then we don't play the game of the ego. But then how do we not believe? Because these are the core beliefs about ourselves that our ego is representing. If we don't believe, everything will disappear. Everything will fade away. And man, I love Terence Mckenna. He said something very cool in a I don't know, talk of his. He says that he does not really understand belief. Because if you believe in something and it's not true, why would you believe in it? And that's the thing, we believe in ourselves. I bet ya that most of us believe that we are not lovable, that we are not beautiful, that we are not perfect and wonderful just as we are, and that we are not good enough. All of this is lies, but we believe it so strongly. If we don't believe it, it will fade away. It will just simply disappear. And if something is true, then why would you believe in it? Because if something is true, it does not require your belief. It is true whether you believe it or not. So, believe in a lie, why, does not make any sense. Believe in truth, why, does not make any sense, because it does not require your belief to be true, right? Part 3, the reflections of the ego. So the deeper we examine the ego, the more we come to see the ego as a reflection of our own inner core beliefs and our own wounds. And in order to make this as clear as possible for you, I'm going to use myself and my own dance with the ego through my life, so that we together can see how the ego has been reflecting my own inner states, and how the ego actually is protecting us, which is crazy. Everyone always says it, and I always been like, shut up. But in my own studies, I have come to realize the same thing. There's like a certain rule of thumb, which is the more insecure we are in ourselves and in our worth as a human being, the stronger the ego. So what we come to see is those who are really, really insecure and, insecure about their own worth as a human being. Those are the ones who cannot for the life of them say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I made a mistake. They cannot say it. Their ego is so strong. Those are also like, when the ego is also strong, it's also the look at me, see me. Oh, look at all of the stuff I did. I have done all of this. Look at me. And what it comes from is that it comes from that need of being seen, right? That I do not feel seen. I do not feel understood. I do not feel seen as a human being. I do not feel understood. And then it comes out as the need of see me and of the arrogance, you know. Yeah, I did all of this. Like, what have you done with your life? So that you see how that is reflecting the inner wound. On the contrary, the people who are really resting in themselves, who believe in themselves, and who are not seeking the approval, those are the one who has a loose ego. Those are the one who can put the ego aside and say, hey man, I'm sorry, I really made a mistake. Those are the ones who can make an apology. And in my life, one of the things that I've always been dealing with is the feeling of being insignificant. And it's very natural for human beings too. I don't know why though. It's very natural for us to go through this. And of being unworthy of love and of being unworthy as a human being. And the way that it expressed itself through me then was this huge need, this desire to be special. Because then I will get the respect and then I would be seen and I would be loved. And when I was a child, I was actually wishing for my mom to pass away. Because then that would make me the boy who lost his mom, and that would make me special. Now, as irony has it, my mom actually passed away. And I was not special. I did not feel special at all. I felt so, well, deep feelings, you know, like abandoned. I felt more unworthy. I felt more lonely and more unworthy of love. And I really started isolating myself. And now what happened when I was young was that Jonathan was not good enough, man. Jonathan was not good enough. So what I started doing when I started getting into youth, I started seeing myself as an artist. And I started giving myself an artist name. And this artist then became this persona. And I started becoming this persona because Jonathan was not good enough. He was not good enough. I was so unworthy of love that I made this persona, this artist. And I was arrogant as I was like the best artist the world, like the most, I don't know, the best artist in the world. You cannot be the best artist in the world, but that was me. And I had all of the philosophies and everyone just had to listen to me. If you wanted greatness, you just had to come to me. And all of this persona, all of this arrogance of being the best and the greatest and all of the philosophies I could have about life came from the feeling of being so insignificant, came from the feeling of being so unworthy, of never. My mom always saw me, of course. She was an angel on earth, and now she's an angel. And I never felt seen, and there was this desperate attempt to be seen. There was this desperate attempt to be loved. Now, then later I came to spirituality, or spirituality came to me, I don't know, one of those. And then what happened was that, and this is a lot of people, I took on the spiritual ego and I took on the spiritual pride. I was Buddha. Like, that's how prideful I was. I was so spiritual that I did not have an ego. Like, that was the thing, right? And that is spiritual pride, and that is ego pride, and look how spiritual I am. It actually came to the point, and my God, I can talk for hours about this part of my life. I was crazy, man. It was fun. I was far out. This one time, I put out my hands like this, and I was like, except from Jesus, I am the most enlightened person to ever step on earth. And I meant it. Oh my God, I meant it. And I was telling everyone what to do. And you know, that's like, I want to help. And I'm telling everyone what to do. And what that comes from is I want to feel important. I want to feel respected, that people can go to me. And I destroyed a lot of friendships, thank God. You know, no one wanted to be with me. I was horrible to be with. No one wanted to be with me. I lost a lot of friends, which was ironic. But you see, like, that desperate attempt in order to fill up that inside of me which is unworthy, which is unlovable. When I am that unlovable, then I need to be this spiritual, because then I have like the spiritual answers and I can compromise for being so unlovable. Yeah. Let me see if I have some more. Stop fighting your ego, it's stupid. How's the sound? Boom, boom. You good? It's blowing so windy here. We're in the valley, and like all the wind's coming from the valley, whoosh. But the place is just so beautiful. I love recording here. Woo! I really like this shot. I really like it with the trees, but I do have the wind. Let me listen. There's trees. Tan hermosos. Now the sun has set. Well, it's behind a cloud right now, but right in a moment it's gonna sit behind the mountains. I have to wait a little. Because the wind is so strong right now. And I don't know how protected this is. Woo! So you see that what the ego is really trying to do, the ego is really trying to protect ourselves. Because I feel so unworthy as a human being, the ego puts up this huge wall in order to protect that wound, that vulnerability inside of me. Because I don't feel seen, because I don't feel heard, nor understood as a human being, the ego then takes the form of the desire, of the arrogance, and look at me, I'm so intelligent and I'm so smart, and look at all of the good stuff that I have done. You see, the ego then is the reflection of the wound. The ego is the reflection of the core belief. So when we are fighting the ego, what are we really fighting? We are fighting ourselves, trying to protect ourselves because we're so hurt. And what we are fighting is we're actually just finding our own wound, giving ourselves more judgment. So clearly, fighting the ego is not the way. We need to transcend the ego. How do we transcend the ego? Watch it in this video. Thanks for watching and be happy.